happy Wednesday. I hope you're having a fantastic week. And as always, if your week has not been that great, it is okay. It is part of life, ups and downs. Some days are great, some days are not so great. Whichever the case, you are okay and you'll be okay. And I recently just shot, today in fact, a few videos about how we cope when we're feeling down or when we're feeling sad. So watch out for those videos. Anyway, today, the topic is about relationships and frustrations and arguments with our partner. And I think that this is one of the most important, I guess, topics to talk about because it occurs so often in our relationships where we love somebody and we want to be with them, yet at the same time, there may be frustrations and resentment that really affect us and our level of happiness in a relationship. So when our frustrations with our partner is not resolved or we're not able to either communicate them or let go of them, arguments will constantly happen. And even though you get along and even though you are compatible and even though you do have a lot of love for each other, frustrations eventually turn into resentment, whether or not we're conscious about it, and it will eat away at the love of the relationship. And so, it's a very gradual and then suddenly kind of thing. The gradually and then suddenly phenomenon where we feel frustrated at our partner, and because we don't feel frustrated 24/7 and all the time, we sort of feel like it's okay, like it's normal, it's part of, being in a relationship. And so we don't realize the kind of negative impacts that it has on our relationship. And over time, the frustrations sort of build up and they build up and they build up. And of course, we try to communicate, right? But if the way we communicate and it's not well received by our partner, or if they have defensiveness, or if they don't agree with what we're saying, we can feel even more frustrated. And that will make us feel a little bit trapped sometimes, and it makes us feel like we can't even make someone understand how we feel, and that creates a lot of resentment. And over time, gradually it builds up, and then suddenly one day a big thing will happen or a small thing will happen, and as always, and then it'll escalate into a big argument, and it may or may not even end the relationship, and these are things that we don't learn in school. Nobody teaches us about our frustrations and how to communicate them or how to let go of them. And we sort of have to kind of deal with it when we are in a relationship. And as with most things, when we don't develop the skills before we actually do that thing, we will fumble along the way, and it will be very hard when we're actually in the thing. So for example, driving, right? We learn how to drive before we actually drive, so that when we are driving, it's not so stressful and we don't get into an accident and kill ourselves or other people. Similarly, in relationships, it would be wonderful if we in fact learn how to understand our frustrations and why they exist, and understand how to communicate them, so that when we are actually in the relationship, we don't sabotage ourselves, and we're not drowning in unhappiness. And I say drowning because I noticed that a lot of the times we want to be in a relationship and we do feel like we love the person, but we also can feel the stresses and the frustrations with our partner is slowly drowning us in a way that we feel more and more unhappy, and we don't really know why that is or what to do about it. And so this is why I want to talk about this in today's live chat. Whether or not you are already in a relationship, whether you are just dating somebody, whether you are married for many, many years, or, if you're not in a relationship, I think this is also the perfect time to have a discussion about this, learn the skill before you actually do the thing. Hi to everybody saying hi, Alyssa, Peter. Oh, that's so awesome, Peter. Hi, Mary. Abu Bakar, Angelala, Maham. It's so good to see all these familiar faces. Okay, so I just made a video which will be edited for either this week or next week. And it's about understanding where our frustrations come from. And this is how I will explain it, because this is what I think is the most straightforward and maybe even logical way of looking at it. All of us have very strong beliefs about what is good, what is right, and what is normal. You know, like, it's normal for people to talk this way. It's good for people to behave this way. And we all grow up with our own right, our own good, our own normal. And because we feel like our normal, or what we think is normal, or what is good, we feel so strongly about it. And we really believe in it because our habits and our behavior and the way we do things and the way even we interact with people, it has served us well. So for example, if you are polite a certain way, maybe it served you well. Maybe if you are financially savvy a certain way, maybe it has served you well. You know, maybe if you are considerate towards others a certain way, maybe it served you well. Maybe if you are very conscientious and not forgetful, it has served you well. Maybe if you are very neat and tidy, it has served you well. So whatever that you have going on in your life in terms of how you do things, your habit and your behavior, it has served you well. And when something is serving us well in our lives, it is very natural and instinctive for us to assume that what serves us well will be what serves other people well too, especially the people we love. Like, we don't care about strangers, right? Like, people we don't know, we don't really care what serves them, what doesn't serve them. But people we love, people like our partner, people like our kids, even our parents, we want them to adopt the beliefs that we believe is going to serve them well. And this is why a lot of us can impose our beliefs onto our partner without even realizing that those are our beliefs. We just feel like this is normal, like everybody should be doing this because it's good, right? And it can range from very, very small things like putting cups into the sink to very big things like how to handle our finances, right? Because we have a certain habit and behavior that we think is serving us well. And if our partner, you know, is super messy, leaves cups everywhere, you know, we're thinking that this is not a good habit, right? Because cups are meant to be in the sink. Or if, let's say, your partner doesn't even talk about finances or doesn't really plan for the future or to have conversations with you about it, maybe you feel like, oh, you know, like, a very reliable and responsible person would talk about these things. And maybe when you talk about it, there are certain things that you feel is a priority that your partner doesn't feel is a priority in terms of money and finance, and it causes a lot of frustration and friction. One of the main reasons that we feel frustrated and there is friction on the surface, we will feel like it is because our partner doesn't understand that this is important. That is what is causing a lot of a frustration. Like, I'm trying to explain something to you here, and I'm trying to use all the examples I can think of, and I am trying my best to be patient and understanding. But at the same time, I am getting super frustrated that you are not seeing the points. Like, you are not agreeing with what I am saying, and you are not changing. But why are you not agreeing or changing? Because what I'm saying is actually good. Right? This is what normal people do, right? That is how we feel. And that is one big source of our frustrations. Now, when we feel so frustrated with our partner, one of I would say the magical thing to help us not feel so frustrated is to remind ourselves that instead of explaining what is important to our partner, like, do this is good, eat that is great, don't eat that is not good, you know, do this is good, say that is good, don't say that is bad. Like, instead of like trying to explain to our partner what is important in life to be like, to behave like, to emulate, we can instead explain to our partner why that particular thing is important to us. Okay, I'll repeat that again. Instead of explaining to our partner why putting cups into the sink is a good thing, we can explain to our partner why this particular thing, why putting cups in the sink is important to me. And that is what it means to take responsibility for our normal. A lot of the times we confuse our personal belief and our personal preference with what is right and what is good and what is normal. Because our truth, our normal, the way we do things has served us so well that it's very easy for us to assume that when other people do things the same way, it will also serve them well. It will also enhance their life. And this is why when we communicate with our partner and we try to be patient and we try to be understanding, it is so frustrating for us when they don't get it, when they don't agree, when they are defensive, when they have their own opinion. And basically, we're not getting through to them like what we are trying to make them understand. And one of the ways to actually handle this in a more positive and productive and also loving way is for ourselves to understand that there is no normal, right? There is no, this is a good thing to do. And therefore, that's why you should do it. We have to change our perspective to truly embrace the fact that this is my personal belief. This is my personal preference. And even though out of all my friends, they also think that it is correct and that it is normal, it doesn't mean that it is normal. There is no universal normal. Chapter 2 of my book starts with that. You know, there is no, like, your normal is not the universal normal. No matter how strongly you feel about it, no matter how amazingly your habits and your behaviors have served you. So for example, just talk about something like finance, right? Your partner may be, terrible with money and terrible with finance. And you, on the other hand, are very conscientious, very responsible, very logical, and, you handle your money well and you see your wealth grow. Your partner, on the other hand, is messy, doesn't really know his or her accounting, and it's just really frustrating for you. And you're trying to teach your partner ways to handle the money better. Now, these are not bad things. Like, I think it's wonderful that when our partner is not good at something or is struggling with something, we are trying our best to help them be better. I think that is a wonderful thing. However, when does it become not wonderful? It becomes not wonderful when we get frustrated at them for their inadequacies or for their weaknesses and for their imperfections. That is the source of the problem. It is the frustration that we feel when we are communicating with our partner because they don't agree or get it or they are defensive. So what helps their frustration is to remove the fact that people like me who are good with finances are better than people like her or people like him who are not good with their finances, to change their perspective. Because it is not so much which is better, which is not better. It is about, okay, I care about the way I care, like I take care of my accounts. I care about the way I manage my wealth. I care about it. I don't care whether, it's a good habit, it's a bad habit. I don't care whether other people do it. I don't care whether it's the normal thing to do. I don't care. I don't actually want to even care about that. Managing my finances well is a good thing. I don't want to care about that. That is besides the point. And this is something that's very important, right? So I'm saying that even though technically managing finances well is better than managing your finances messily, don't care about that. Don't care about that. What you want to care about when you communicate with your partner is to explain why this particular thing, which is managing your finances, is so important to you. To you. Not that, hey, you know, this is a good thing to do, you know, like, yeah, don't be so messy, you know, like, da, 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 da. Not from that point of view, but sitting down and explaining to this person why this is important to you. Like, oh, for me, you know, I have a certain kind of fear about money, or I'm very particular about money, or I kind of feel more secure and safe when money is accounted for. And this is why I'm asking you if you are able to help me be able to, you know, like alleviate that fear. Or can you just, can I request for you to help me to learn this so that, you know, blah, blah, blah. And it's important to me because it's different when we are taking responsibility for our normal, right? Instead of like imposing our normal on someone else, the way we speak to the person changes. Like our tone of voice changes. Sometimes I feel like we can scold our partner or admonish our partner, or sometimes even berate our partner without even realizing it. You know, it's not our intention to scold or to nag or to berate or to admonish our partner because we love the person. However, frustration can actually make us sound a lot like scolding and admonishing someone, which is why they would not receive that communication well, which is why they get defensive, because everybody has needs and fears. And when someone is speaking to us in a tone that indicates that we should know better, or we can be better, or, you know, that we should listen to this person, like naturally, our needs and fears make us put up a shield and we become defensive. And so I think this is such a pity, because in a relationship, actually the only objective is for us to be happy, right? It's for us to love each other and for us to be truly happy together. But in the course of the relationship, it can be such that we're not happy with each other, even though maybe about 70% of the time, you know, we get along and we have a good time, we're compatible. It's not a reflection of the strength of the relationship, you know, because it is when times are tough, it is when times are difficult, you know, it is when your partner has done something wrong, or something that you don't agree with, or you think they could have handled better. I think that is the time that shows how strong the relationship is. And it all begins with the way we perceive our partner. Like the way we perceive our partner can be in a very judgmental way without realizing it. Like of course, nobody wants to be judgmental towards your own partner, right? Like we all love our partner and we want the best for them. And because we want the best for them, we subconsciously impose our beliefs, our truths, our right, and our normal upon them. And in that sense, we are judging them for not being good enough or not knowing enough, you know? And even though we don't think about this consciously, like we're not consciously trying to berate someone, we're not consciously trying to scold or admonish or nag our partner, what transpires in the communication is that our frustration can very easily lead to our partner feeling like they're not good enough. And when they feel that way, it's very hard for them to receive what we're trying to tell them. So one of the best ways for us to be able to not feel frustrated with our partner, or at least when we feel frustrated, we can like let it go easier and faster, is for us to remind ourselves, okay, you know, hang on, what I am feeling is right, and what I am feeling is true, and what I'm feeling is normal. It's just my personal preference and my personal belief. This is not some universal truths that 8 billion people in this world must follow because it's good. You know, I don't care about other people. Even if all your colleagues at work think the exact same way as you, and you feel very validated because there are so many people who agree with you, and your partner is the only person who sees things differently, even when it's that case, when you communicate, it is not that, hey, I'm going to tell you why this is important, or I'm trying to explain to you why this is important. Why are you not understanding? Why are you still being so defensive? Instead of going down that path, how about we explain to our partner why this particular thing is so important to us? Because honestly, when you're really honest with yourself, you'll realize that it is important to you. If it's not important to you, then why are you so upset about it? Why are you so enraged or frustrated or irritated or annoyed about this thing? You're not annoyed or irritated or frustrated or angry because it's some like universal standard that everybody should know. Like, hey, you should flush the toilet now when you finish using it, Everybody should know that. That's why you're angry. Is it like you're not angry because flushing the toilet is what everybody should know, and you're not angry because flushing the toilet is a good thing. You're not angry because flushing the toilet is like the best thing to do after you pee. That's not why you're upset. You're upset because flushing the toilet after someone pees is important to you. It bothers you. I don't know, maybe the smell of the pee bothers you. Maybe you don't like flushing after your partner because you feel there's extra work. Maybe your partner not flushing the toilet makes you feel like he or she doesn't care about you. There is a reason why you are bothered. And when you communicate with your partner, this is what you communicate. Not, you should flush the toilet because it's good. Everybody knows that you should flush the toilet. I don't understand why you're not flushing the toilet. Flushing the toilet it's basic manners. No, don't you have manners? Like, that's not the path we go down. To go down the other path of taking responsibility for our normal, which means to us, flushing the toilet is normal. Now, instead of imposing the normal and saying that my partner must flush the toilet because it's normal, that's called imposing our normal. And getting frustrated when they don't do that, that's also imposing our normal. So instead of going down that path and saying that, we can go, okay, why is flushing the toilet important to me? Like, you have to ask yourself this question. And if your answer is, yeah, because it's normal, everybody does that. If that's your answer, it means you have to ask yourself again and deeper. Because the answer is not that because people do it, that's why you're upset when he doesn't or she doesn't do it. It's not that. We have to be honest with ourselves. You are not upset because of some theory. You're not upset because, respectful people or polite people do things like flush the toilet. You're not upset because of that. You're upset maybe because it makes you feel like your partner is taking you for granted when he or she doesn't flush the toilet. Maybe you're upset because you really don't like the smell of pee, like I said before, right? Maybe you're upset because you're super afraid of bacteria and you're afraid the toilet is going to be so dirty and the both of you will fall sick. I don't know what it is, but you have to answer that for yourself. And I think that this is so important because it has helped me so much in the way I communicate with Yuri and the way Yuri communicates with me. And I think that this is the path towards accepting our partner while simultaneously helping them grow. Actually, if we want our partner to change and we want our partner to improve and we want them to be, I don't know, whatever it is that you want your partner to be, maybe more responsible, more conscientious, more tidy, more mindful, more thoughtful, more caring, more loving, whatever you want your partner to be. Being able to communicate without frustration and understanding whether or not we are judging, like being aware of when we are judging, of the times that we are judging, and be able to catch ourselves so that we can change our perspective, and then our tone of voice will change, the way we approach the conversation will change. That will help our partner much more, will help our partner change much faster and much more effectively than if we go down the path of this is right and this is good and I'm going to teach this to you. I think that is not as effective, it's not as productive, and it definitely is not as loving. All right, I'm going to read some comments. So I'm going to scroll back up. Gada here says, we have been together for 25 years and he can't handle a conversation about our kids' problems and always shut it down, blaming me for not raising them properly. I can't remember if we ever finished a conversation with a valuable outcome. So the question is, if this person that you are with blames you for whatever wrongdoings of your kids, like blames you for your kids' problems, for not raising them properly, then why do you want to be with a person who treats you like that, or who believes you to be like that? You know, obviously, when we are together with somebody, especially for 25 years, it's really not easy to be without the person, or sometimes it's not even the person, it is the environment and the situation that we're in. There are many factors to it. Maybe it's comfort, maybe it's security, maybe it's finance, maybe it's support, whatever it is. But ultimately, you have to ask yourself, what do you value about the relationship? And is it true that your husband blames you for not raising your kids properly? And if he does blame you, then what are the consequences of it? Do you guys have a great time together like 80% of the time, and only 20% of the time you disagree about this, or he makes you feel like crap? Like, what is it? You yourself have to know this. And I think at every point we have to take responsibility for learning how to communicate with somebody, not just the way we want to communicate, but to figure out how to communicate to the person in a way that they can understand. And that is a different skill altogether. I'm going to say this again. Most of us only know how to communicate the way we communicate, which means this is what I want to say, and this is how I would say it. We don't really have the skill of observing a person, understanding their triggers, understanding their ego, and then approaching the conversation from that perspective. And so that is something that we have to work on all the time, regardless of whether you're with this person or that person. It doesn't matter whether you're in a relationship or not in a relationship. This skill of being able to communicate with an understanding of the person's triggers and ego really helps us in any kind of relationship. So that is our responsibility, because with this, it helps us determine whether we have tried our best in the relationship. And if we feel like we are growing, if we feel like we have tried the best in our relationship, and we can see that this relationship is not serving us, it is not healthy for us, then we're in a better place of mind to leave the relationship. Sophia here says, I have loving relationships with husband for 8 years, but our huge fights that happens once a year breaks my heart from his anger and our fight. I have a hard time to put myself together. What can I do? I think it's very important for you to understand what triggers the huge fights, and why does he get so angry? What are his triggers? And what starts the huge fights? And what do you mean you have a loving relationship with your husband? Because a loving relationship does not end with a person hurting the other person with their anger as well. And so I think it is time to really examine why once a year you have this huge argument. It must be something that is always in your relationship, and then once in a while it comes up. It is not that the problems suddenly occur. It must be something that's already happening. Something that maybe you or your husband already is not happy about. And most of the time you're okay and you're in a loving relationship because you don't talk about it. It never comes up. Neither of you are triggered. But once in a while, when it does come up and when you are triggered, then it gets terrible. It is so awful. And this is why it's so important for you both to talk about it right now. When you are happy, when there's no problem, bring it up. Talk about the past few years and the fights that you've had, and understand each other. Talk about it to understand each other. See, what are your triggers? What are your fears and what are your needs? And why is this so important to you? Why do you get so upset over this? Like, you really want to understand, right? Brandon here says, some of us more than once a year. Yeah, why? Why? I think why is a very important question to ask, because if we just think that, oh, it's normal, all couples fight, and then we just move on with our life. Okay, let me give you a better alternative. All couples disagree, but not all couples fight. I know many couples who don't fight, they just disagree. And what I mean by that is that there are certain couples who are able to disagree without hurting each other. They're able to talk about their differences in opinions. They're able to disagree. They're able to even like have very heated debates without hurting each other, without getting angry at each other. So it's not normal that couples fight. It is normal that couples disagree. And if you haven't read my book, chapter 2, it's about love and relationships. It is about expectations. It's about understanding what is normal. It's about, chapter 3 is about communication. And I think that it is important to know these things, as a foundation, some way for us to start. Yeah. Let's see. Navada, I hope you're still here, reading your comment now. He talks about the future, holidays, and grand ideas. I don't really care. I want his efforts day to day, not just a holiday every quarter of the year. He'll say, what do you want for Christmas? But just acts like I'm okay that he cancels plans that he makes to visit or spend time together. Navada, it really sounds like you care about certain things, and he assumes that you care about other things. And the only way forward is to understand him. It is not just to talk about it. When we communicate, right, it is not, I want to let you know what's important to me. That's not the first step of communication. The first step of communication, especially when things like that happen, right, when you want something and your partner gives you something else, the first step is to understand them. Understand why they feel the need to cancel plans last minute. Just understand, right? And then understand why they try to make it up by grand gestures like Christmas and quarter of the year holidays. Understand them. Understand why they have this preference and why their behavior is like that. Understand why their habits are like that. Like, really understand. Like, to understand someone means going back to their childhood, understanding their fears, understanding their needs, understanding their insecurities, understanding their ego. Then you will have your answer. And when you have your answer, then you can communicate so much better, because then you can explain what is important to you whilst understanding that this person may or may not be able to give what you want, because it is not because they don't love you, but maybe because they don't have the skill to do it. And then it is up to you to decide if you want to be with somebody who cannot give you what you want. I hope that makes sense. Let's go up, read more comments. Linda, communicate without frustration or judgment. Let's see. Pings, hi, watching from Sydney. Hope you're still watching. In the past, I get so frustrated with my husband. Every time I would ask him to go to church with me or go for a walk around the block with me, he would always say no. We would end up having arguments because I thought it would do him some good. In time, I learned to realize that it is not his thing and just to let it go. I learned not to make assumptions that whatever I love doing does not necessarily mean that he would too. I let go of my expectations of what I believe is right because it doesn't work. Thank you, Xandria, for all the inspiration and for actually giving your viewers some kind of checklist of how to be happy always. Oh my God, I am so glad that you and your husband have come to this place where you both understand that what is important to you may not be important to your partner. Something in here in my book that I think is one of the most important practices in our relationship. Page 78. Let me show you. Page 78 here, this is the practice. Even if what is important to you isn't important to your partner, it does not mean that you are unimportant. And you can read it here. It is so crucial for us to understand this. A lot of the times, what's important to us isn't important to our partner. You know, whether it's our hobbies, whether it's, you know, simple things like going to church or closing the door or washing the dishes or holidays or whatever it is, you know. What is important to you may not be important to your partner, but it doesn't mean that you are unimportant to your partner. You know, when people don't agree with us, it doesn't mean they don't care about us. I think we have to reel ourselves back in sometimes to not always use our emotions to dictate our thinking. You know, that like, even if somebody disagrees with us, it doesn't mean they don't care about us. You know, it's dumb. We have to allow people to be who they are. They have their beliefs, they have their preferences, they have their views. Elaine here says differences in views can be frustrating. Of course. I mean, everybody likes being around people who validate them. And to this, Elaine, I offer you a tool. Every time you feel frustrated that somebody has a different opinion from you, it is an opportunity to look into yourself, to ask yourself why it frustrates you so much. Which part of your ego needs to feel good when to have people agree with you or validate you? And I think that this is something that is super helpful for all of us to do. I do this with myself all the time. Whenever I am triggered, you know, of course, it's nice to have people agree with us, but when they don't agree with us, we can be okay as well. But why are we not okay? Why do we feel frustrated and why do we feel angry? We feel this way because it triggered us. What they are saying has triggered us. And when we are triggered, like I always say, it is like having a light shining on our needs, our fears, and what our ego needs to feel respected, to feel validated, to feel significant. You know, sometimes we want people to treasure us so that we feel valued, you know? And I think that if you already value yourself, then it's so much easier to not take things personally, because then you won't be constantly seeking some sort of validation that you are valuable. Diana here says, I just totally don't care now. I do what I like to do and he go and do what he likes. Give up. You know, if you know, don't care and accepting and finding joy is very different. So I think that when we give up on our partner, there is still a sense of, I still think that he should be doing this. I still think that what I think is right. You know, I still think that what I'm doing is better. Or, yeah, there is still some sort of like, you know, some sort of like, I don't care, like, just give up, right? Like it's just too much effort and I can't be bothered like going to another argument and it's just going to cause a lot more mess. So I'm just going to like not even bother. But deep down inside in your heart, you kind of like wish that he does get it. You kind of like wish that he does like what you like, and you wish that, you know, he's different. And when you have this kind of feeling, it's normal, right? I think any of us in relationships can relate to this. But even as it is normal, we can ask ourselves if it can change to something healthier. What is normal doesn't mean what is healthy. And so a better way, I think, to is for you to genuinely be okay with it. Instead of like not caring and giving up, it's okay, let me understand why he is the way he is and why I am the way I am. And let me see if I can accept him and enjoy the relationship truly without wishing that things were different and trying to ignore that kind of like desire, and then we feel frustrated but we try to like suppress it, and or see if we can let it go. You know, I think ask yourself why you want to be in the relationship. why do we even want to be in a relationship if we're not there to enjoy the relationship? Okay, I'm not saying that everything in the relationship is enjoyable, like, everything will be fine and flawless and you have no problems, la la la. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this: when you're in a relationship, even when there are problems and challenges, you can still enjoy the relationship because you communicate about the challenges and you communicate and understand each other better, and that has a certain kind of enjoyment to it. Let's see. Nurul here says, how to accept someone or something without being triggered. That is something that you have to work on yourself. That it is not an answer that I can give to you via a live chat or a message. What really helps is to read my book about understanding yourself, and I also have one-on-one coaching. And the reason I offer and open up one-on-one coaching is because there are certain things like identifying your triggers and letting go of them and not being bothered by them anymore is a process of understanding yourself that you need time to go through, and you need guidance and coaching to be able to help yourself identify why. It's a process. It takes practice and it takes work. But, at the end of the journey, at the end of the practice, you won't be so triggered by the same things anymore. And you'll be able to solve problems in a way that is better for your own happiness. So if you want one-on-one coaching, and if you work and you feel like you have money and you can afford one-on-one coaching, especially when you're going through tough times in your life, or when you feel like you just want to know how to let go of what doesn't serve you, or how to change certain things about your life so that you can live each day with joy, then take up the one-on-one coaching. Email me to apply is Xandria@xandriaway.com. Diana here says, my mother-in-law even adds in and comments, accept him as what he is because you are the one who choose your husband. Try to live with it. Oh my God. Okay. If you remove the oh my God, I really feel you. Okay, Diana, let's do this exercise, okay? Now, I want you to read what you just wrote. Accept him as what he is because you are the one who chose your husband. Putting aside who said that, putting aside any past history, putting aside any sensitivities, putting aside everything, and just read it like the words that it is. Ask yourself, is it the truth or not? Does it make sense or not? It makes sense. Accept him as what he is because you are the one who chose your husband. That is a fact. That is the absolute truth. I mean, of course, for your mother-in-law to say it, maybe it feels insensitive, I don't know. But putting aside all of that, it is the truth. You choose this person. Why are you sabotaging yourself and creating your own unhappiness by not accepting who you choose? It's like you buy a ticket to go watch a movie and you force yourself to sit through the entire 2 hours even though you hated the film from the first 5 minutes. It doesn't make sense. Why are you torturing yourself to sit in the cinema when you're not enjoying yourself? Why are you just staying in the cinema? Just because you paid for it? It's not worth it. This self-inflicted suffering. So similarly, we are the ones who make the choice to be with our partner. This does not mean that we have to put up with shit. This does not mean that we have to let our partner bully us or take advantage of us. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is this. If you cannot accept your partner for who they are, what do you want? For them to change? How? Everybody grows up and becomes an adult with their own beliefs, their own standards, their own preferences. Why do you think somebody should change their beliefs and their preferences and their habits and their behaviors because of you? Why would we want to impose what we think is good and right upon somebody else? This is why love is so hard. Because we can say we love somebody, but yet we don't accept them for who they are. It's ironic, isn't it? Sean here says, communication and voicing your feelings and thoughts sometimes feels impossible, but it is the key ingredient to healing, growing, and keeping a relationship for life. Communicating and voicing our feelings and thoughts, it feels impossible, but actually it is not impossible. You know why it feels impossible? It is only impossible, or it feels impossible, when we don't acknowledge and we're not honest with our own fears, needs, and triggers. Because when we communicate with somebody, the hard part is not actually them not understanding us. The hard part is us taking it personally when they don't understand us. Come on, when you explain something to your 5-year-old child, if they don't understand you immediately, do you immediately feel like, oh my God, this person doesn't care about me? Why is my kid doesn't love me? I'm trying to explain something to this kid for like 2 hours and this kid still doesn't understand me. Why is it like that? This kid doesn't love me, is it? This kid's stupid, is it? You don't think like that, right? Why is it that when we communicate with a partner, we can feel so frustrated when they don't understand us? They are a different human being. And they may not understand, they may not even agree. Because they have their own triggers. They have their own issues. And it's making them react to whatever it is that you are saying. So how? You cannot control the other person. You have no power over your partner. You can only love them and accept them. Does this sound like absolutely hopeless? Well, I give you the good news, because you have absolute power over yourself. You have absolute power over the way you think, over your own triggers, over understanding what your triggers are, and over letting them go. You have absolute power over understanding your expectations, understanding and questioning yourself whether you are imposing your beliefs and imposing your preferences upon your partner. And you have complete power to change the trajectory of that. You have complete power over your own responses and reactions in the conversation, which is damn good news. Because how do you get the best out of somebody? By being calm, by listening, by truly seeking to understand. Otherwise, the other person will be defensive because they are triggered. And if we want to wait for the other person to not be triggered, and we want to wait for the other person to see our points, then only we're happy, then I have bad news for you. And it is that you are going to suffer a lot. You're going to be very unhappy in your relationship. And my question to you would be, why are you even in the relationship? Why do you want to be with somebody that you cannot accept? Don't sit in the cinema for 2 hours when within the first hour you already don't like the movie. Let's see. Aulia here saying, so later I should tell clearly, and if it is not working out of his habit issue and keep doing it later, then I must make decision about it if I want to continue accepting or not. Anything when it comes to relationship, it is up to you to decide whether you want to be with this person or you don't want to be with this person. If you want to be with this person and you cannot communicate, and you're not learning the skills to communicate, and you cannot accept this person, or you find that this person is not who you want, but yet you stay in the relationship, then it is self-inflicted suffering. Diana here asks, sometimes I also question myself why I suffer. Maybe because of children? Yes. A lot of the times, I don't have kids, so yeah, of course it's so much easier for me to okay, let's be strategic about this, let's be objective about this. When you have children in the equation, there's so many more things to consider. The question that I would encourage you to ask yourself is, what is healthy for your children? To have parents who are able to communicate and be loving towards each other and fully accept and support each other, or to have parents who grumble about each other and sometimes argue in front of them, or to have children, for your children to know that you're sometimes unhappy with your spouse or your spouse is unhappy with you. Which is healthier for your children? Oftentimes we think that we're staying for our children, but our children are probably better off without the resentment or the frustration always in the family. I mean, when I say always, like certain relationships are not always in that mode, but as long as parents are not happy with each other, you think the kids don't know it? Of course they know it. And it will impact them. It will affect their own relationships in the future. Peter here says, last week of your 30-day program is couples training. Yes, third and fourth week of my 30-day happiness program. It's about turning your relationship around, like practicing the tools. One tool each day. There is a video that you watch in my 30-day happiness program. Every day there's a video, there's a worksheet that guides you through how you want to take action and what perspectives you want to change. And you practice that for the day. And every day there's a different practice. And that's how you create change. By mindfully practicing, not like having good intentions and feeling inspired and feeling hopeful, and then nothing really changes, because there are days when we don't feel inspired, when we don't feel hopeful, when we are frustrated. And these are the days that we cannot depend on like, yay, inspiration. We have to depend on our tools to do the work. Lily here says, I left my kid's dad after 8 years of waiting for him to change. The relationship was not making me happy, and that was affecting my kids as well. I was trying because of the kids, but then I realized I was doing them more harm than good. Oh my goodness, thank you so much for sharing, Lily. And I hope that you and your kids are in a happier place right now. Okay, it is nearly 10 o'clock. I have spoken for nearly an hour, and I hope that whatever that I've conveyed or shared with you through this live chat can somehow help your own relationship, whether you're in a relationship right now or in the future. And if you want guidance and mentorship and a coach to help you create the kind of changes you want, especially in your relationships, whether it's a romantic relationship or whether it was your family, you can apply for one-on-one coaching with me, and I will guide you through every step of the way of what kind of change you want to create, to identify what's holding you back so that you understand yourself so much better, and then you can move forward and we can work on the tools that you need to practice, whether it's in communication, whether it's in your self-worth and self-esteem, whether it's anything you cannot let go of. These are things that we'll be working on so that you don't have to live with this kind of like unhappiness or dissatisfaction or just this feeling of discontentment all the time. If you want one-on-one coaching, you can email me at xandria@xandria.com. Sending you a lot of love. Tomorrow, Yuri and I won't be on for live chat because Yuri is now coming on every fortnightly because he's working on composing a film. So we won't be coming on tomorrow, but we will be coming on next Thursday. And I will see you also next Wednesday. So till next Wednesday, have a fantastic week ahead and be happy always. Bye!